Taurus, there is something unfolding in your life right now that you may not even be aware of. While you move through your days, doing what you always do, showing up, working hard, keeping your balance, and trying to live with quiet steadiness, there is a pair of eyes on you. A man is paying attention to you in a way that goes beyond curiosity or casual interest. He is not watching you to judge, nor is he observing you to criticize. He is watching because in you he sees something he has been searching for without knowing how to name it. He sees in you a way of living, a way of carrying yourself that speaks louder than words and feels like an answer to questions he has carried for far too long. You may not notice it because you are not performing for anyone. You are simply being yourself, and that is what makes the impact even stronger. It is in the way you handle small challenges without losing your center. It is in the way you hold on to honesty even when it would be easier to bend. It is in the way you carry dignity in moments where others would collapse or complain. To you, these are simply choices you make every day, part of how you've learned to survive and grow. To him, they are lessons. They are glimpses of a kind of authenticity that he has been missing in his own life. Taurus, you may not realize how much influence you carry just by being present. While you are focused on keeping your own path steady, he is quietly watching your steps, measuring them against his own, and discovering that there is another way to live. He notices how you don't hide behind masks to win approval, how you don't bend yourself out of shape just to fit into places that were never meant for you, how you stay true to your nature even when others don't fully understand it. This quiet resilience of yours, this authenticity, is something he has longed for in himself, and by watching you, he begins to believe it might be possible. This is not about romance or admiration in the superficial sense. It goes much deeper. He is learning something essential about himself through you. Without knowing it, you have stepped into the role of a teacher in his life, not by giving lectures or advice, but by simply existing as you are. Make it. Your choices, your calm strength, your grounded way of being, they are shaping him more than you realize. You may not see the transformation yet, but it has already begun. And this is where the story starts. Taurus, this man's silent attention is not accidental. It is part of a bigger picture, a reminder of how powerful your authenticity is. As we move into the next part, we will see how your presence itself becomes a living lesson, a form of teaching that does not require words, only the courage to keep being who you are. Taurus, what you may not fully see is that your life is already speaking louder than any advice you could ever give. This man is not learning from what you say, but from the way you live, from the way you handle yourself when no one is clapping for you, from the way you remain steady when others might fall apart. He is absorbing lessons that you never intended to teach, and it is precisely because they are unplanned that they carry so much weight. You show him, without effort, what it means to be genuine in a world that constantly pushes people to perform. He notices the way you don't chase validation. You do your work. You meet your responsibilities. You show up fully. But you don't twist yourself to earn applause. You stand grounded in who you are. And this quiet self-respect sends a clear message. Dignity does not come from being everything to everyone. It comes from honoring your own truth. He notices how you handle conflict not by shouting louder, but by holding firm to your values. He sees how you choose patience when frustration rises, how you steady yourself before making decisions, how you refuse to let fear dictate your choices. These are silent lessons, but they are lessons he has been waiting for without knowing it. What strikes him most is not perfection, it is your willingness to live without a mask. While many hide their insecurities or cover their scars, you carry yours with honesty. You don't need to pretend to be flawless. And that honesty is disarming. It gives him permission to face his own struggles without shame. Through you, he begins to see that true confidence is not about pretending to have no weakness, it is about living fully despite them. Taurus, you are showing him something radical: that strength is quiet, that authenticity is magnetic, and that the courage to live your truth matters more than any role society demands you play. And you're not teaching with words. You're teaching with presence. You may never hear him say it out loud, but deep inside he is taking notes, shifting his own choices, questioning the masks he's been wearing. Without realizing it, you are shaping the way he sees himself. And as this silent exchange continues, something begins to build inside of him, a reflection of his own light that he had long forgotten, which leads us to the next truth: that you, Taurus, are becoming a mirror. And in that mirror, he is starting to see his own worth. Taurus, what is happening now goes beyond silent admiration. You have become a mirror. And through you, this man is beginning to see himself more clearly than he ever has before. For so long, he has lived under the weight of expectations, trying to be who others told him he should be, shaping his choices to fit standards that were never truly his own. He has hidden parts of himself to avoid judgment, polished the surface so no one could see the cracks beneath, and carried a quiet fear that if people ever knew his real self, they would turn away. But then he saw you, and through your example, he has started to realize that authenticity is not a weakness, it is a form of strength that cannot be faked. Your presence reflects back to him what is possible. When he sees you moving through life without chasing approval, he begins to question why he has lived so long in the shadows of other people's opinions. When he notices how you hold yourself steady without trying to impress, he begins to understand that respect does not come from pleasing everyone, but from living true. Through you, he is seeing his own potential, his own ability to be accepted, to be valued, and to be respected simply by being himself. This mirror you hold up is not flattering in the shallow sense, it is challenging, even uncomfortable, because it forces him to confront the ways he has been hiding, the compromises he has made, the parts of himself he has abandoned to fit in. But at the same time, it also shows him something: he had lost sight of his worth. He sees, through you, that imperfection does not erase value, that vulnerability does not erase dignity, that honesty does not erase respect. What it erases is fear. And when fear fades, the real self begins to rise. Taurus, without even trying, you are offering him proof that being authentic is not only safe, it is powerful. You are not telling him to change, you are showing him that change is possible. You are not telling him who to be, you are showing him that he already is enough. And in this reflection, he is beginning to awaken, to remember himself, to step into a version of life that feels more real, more aligned, more alive. This is the quiet power of your influence, and it is only just beginning. Because once someone sees their own light reflected back, the next step is to awaken it fully. And that is where your presence leads him next, into the awakening within him. A shift that changes not just how he sees himself, but how he chooses to live. Taurus, something subtle but powerful is beginning to stir within this man as he reflects himself through you. At first, he cannot explain it. He only knows that when he is around you, he feels lighter, as if some of the weight he has carried for years loosens for a moment. He feels calmer, as though the noise in his head finally softens, and more than that, he feels braver, able to consider choices that once terrified him, able to imagine a life that once seemed out of reach. What is happening inside of him is an awakening, the kind that does not come from books or lectures, but from witnessing someone else live in truth. He begins to experiment in small ways, testing the lessons he has absorbed from you without even realizing it. Perhaps he speaks more honestly than before, dropping the rehearsed words he once relied on to keep others comfortable. Perhaps he carries himself differently, no longer shrinking to avoid attention, but standing a little taller, even if he does not yet know why. Perhaps he makes decisions with a new sense of clarity, choosing what feels right for him instead of what would simply please others. These are small shifts, but they mark the beginning of a profound change. The beauty of this awakening is that it is not about imitating you, it is about discovering himself. Your presence does not give him a script to follow, it gives him permission to write his own. You are not shaping him into another version of you, you are reminding him that he already has everything he needs within himself. The courage he sees in you awakens the courage that was dormant in him. The steadiness you live by calls forth the steadiness he thought he lacked. The authenticity you embody whispers to him that he, too, can be free. Taurus, what you may not yet realize is how rare and precious this influence is. Many people go through life never having someone hold up a mirror that reflects their true worth back to them. Many never get the chance to awaken to their own authenticity. But through you, he is experiencing that awakening, and it will ripple through every part of his life, his relationships, his choices, and his confidence. Even the way he carries himself in the world, all of it will be touched by this shift. And this awakening will not stay hidden forever. Sooner or later, you will notice it. You will see the difference in the way he looks at himself, the way he speaks, the way he lives. And when that happens, Taurus, you will understand that your influence was never small. Without realizing it, you have sparked a transformation that may shape the rest of his life. Which leads us to the final truth, the gift of your presence, and how simply by being who you are, you have given him something that no one else could. Taurus, the greatest impact you are having on this man's life is not through any direct effort, not through deliberate teaching, but through the quiet and steady gift of your presence. You did not set out to change him. You did not design a plan to shape his choices or rewrite his path. All you have done is live in truth, and by doing so, you have given him permission to do the same. That is the gift, showing him, without words, that authenticity is possible, that self-respect is possible, that courage is possible, and that all of these things can exist without apology. He may never say thank you. He may never even be fully conscious of how much you've shifted his perspective, but you will see it in the subtle ways he carries himself differently, in the way his voice holds more strength, in the way his eyes hold more light. Those are the signs that the seed you planted has taken root. And you will know, Taurus, that your presence has already changed his life in ways he may never be able to explain. This is the quiet power of influence that comes from integrity. You did not preach, you embodied. You did not push, you simply stood firm in who you are. And because of that, you have reminded him of something he forgot long ago, that he is worthy of being himself. The beauty of this truth is that it doesn't end with him. The ripples of your presence will continue to touch others in ways you will never fully see. By living as yourself, you are creating a chain of awakening, a movement of authenticity that will reach farther than you can imagine. Taurus, the lesson here is not about what you have done for him. It is about realizing the weight and value of your own light. This is what happens when you stop hiding, when you stop shrinking. When you stop questioning your worth, you become a mirror, a guide, a catalyst for others to remember who they are. And that is no small thing. That is how lives change. That is how entire stories are rewritten. So carry this awareness forward. Your gift is not in forcing transformation, but in embodying it. Your power is not in loud declarations, but in quiet consistency. And your presence, Taurus, is not just filling space, it is reshaping it, healing it, and inspiring it. This is your gift to the world, and it is already working in ways you may never fully understand.